Hi everyone, it's Sandy Chong here from the Australian Hairdressing Council, and I have got two beautiful ladies with me today, Suzanne and Fiona, and they're from the New South Wales Department of Education. Now, there's always questions in our industry about school-based apprentices, so I thought what we would do is ask the ladies to answer some questions so that the industry knows just exactly what is a school-based apprentice. Now, these ladies are from the New South Wales Department of Education. However, with the Australian Hairdressing Council, we will make sure that there are resources in our library that will explain exactly about school-based apprentices for every single state. So we'll make sure that link is there for you. But I just wanted to get some basic questions answered, like, what is a school-based apprentice? How do they work? What do we pay them? Can we give them more hours in the salon, et cetera, and what are the expectations? So, so Fiona, I might ask you, or Suzanne, what is a school-based apprentice? Can you explain that for me?
Okay, I'll jump in there. A school-based apprenticeship is the capacity for a student to get a kickstart on their career while they're still at school. So a student at the end of year 10 traditionally will approach their career advisor and say, I would really like to work as a hairdresser. They might say to them, are you continuing on to year 12? And if they say yes, the next question will be, have you considered a school-based apprenticeship? So the school-based apprenticeship allows the student to combine part-time paid work, the nationally qualification that they're undertaking with their apprenticeship, as well as their HSC in New South Wales. So they work their first year of their apprenticeship part-time over year 11 and 12. They do the units of competency associated with the first year of training at TAFE or whichever training organisation they are with. And then the January after their HSC, they continue with you as a full-time second year apprentice. That is, of course, provided they've met all the requirements of first year.
We found that with, especially with New South Wales, there's a lot of interest in the school-based apprentices, which is fantastic. When I look at the industry, we definitely have this massive skill shortage at the moment. And I will admit that right now, apprentices will not fill that skill shortage. However, we all need to plan for the future of our business and also the sustainability of the industry. And, with my own salon, we have always invested in apprentices. And I think that it's a very big part of planning for your business, because apprentices are an investment, in your business. They're not someone who should be brought in to just clean, but it's definitely about training. So, my understanding with the school-based apprentice is right from day one, after they've had their induction, that they definitely should be encouraged to learn as much as possible on the job in that time that they're with you.
Exactly. And what we encourage the students to talk to their salon owners that what they're doing at TAFE or what they're doing in their coursework, because what's happening in their formal training needs to be reflected on their on-the-job training. So what they're doing in the salon reflects what they're learning in theory. And that's just a win-win. Both are complementing each other, and it's what underpins the value of training as an apprentice.
So how do we actually get these school-based apprentices? Like, is it a contract like a normal apprenticeship? Like, who do we go and see? What do we
So basically the procedure that you go through for a school-based apprenticeship is not a lot different from a full-time apprentice. The big difference is that the employers need to be aware that they are still a school student, that they are more than often under 18 years of age. So the parent will need to be involved as well because they are under 18. The other difference is that for a school-based apprentice, we need the full training plan, not just a training plan proposal. So from when you say, yes, I'd like to take this student on as a school-based apprentice to getting to that formal sign-up meeting, that can take a little bit longer because we do need that full training plan. And we have to organise, or not we, but the apprenticeship centre that the employer chooses needs to organise a meeting where both the parent, the apprentice, and potentially the school are all available at the same time as the employer to go through the training plan as well as the training contract.
Because there's quite a few people involved here that will support this apprentice, I guess. So, we obviously have the apprentice and their parent.
Yes.
And we have the Department of Education as well.
Yes.
As in state training.
So the state training services are under the Department of Education, but we've got the school sector, and I think that's probably the easier way to describe it. So while Fiona and I represent the Department of Education as far as public schools go in New South Wales, there are other school sectors. So if your students either attends a Catholic or an independent school, there will be school sector people that will be able to represent them. So you've got your school sector, the Department, Training Services New South Wales being the regulator, are there to oversee and approve the training arrangement. We've also got your apprenticeship centre that handle the paperwork, support you with any incentive inquiries, and they submit both the completed training plans and contract to Training Services for approval. And we have school as well involved, so the careers advisor. And that's because it is forming part of the student's HSC. So it's important that the student's home school is aware of what's happening. And again, I feel they play a crucial part in the support network surrounding the school-based apprentice.
And if I was to employ a school-based apprentice, would I also liaise with that careers advisor as well?
That's where you start. And we recommend that students have a discussion with their careers advisor. I feel that they are the ones that know the students best, apart from the parents, of course, and they can help support them through the process. We recommend that a student either submit their resume to a salon, go for an interview if necessary, because I think it's important for them to go through that process. And then what we recommend is that students complete at maybe a week, at least 3 days work experience, but that must be organised through the school so that the student's covered under their insurance policy. So being organised through the school, that needs to occur during school hours. So that's that important contact with the careers advisor.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because if we talk about work experience that is organised through a school, which is a great way to try before you buy for both parties.
Exactly.
As well.
Yes.
So my understanding, that is unpaid.
Yes, it must be unpaid because otherwise it doesn't meet our insurance requirements.
And if I can just clarify for the industry, that any other work experience that a salon might offer a young person is actually paid at an assistant level, which is a level 1, if that employment or that trial is not through a school. And there's a lot of confusion there. So the work experience through a school is unpaid, but any kind of work experience that is outside of a school must be paid. And the rate of pay is actually level 1, and it's salon assistant. There is no unpaid work experience. Now, once we actually do employ a school-based apprentice, I know that the rate of pay is 25% above the first year wage. Okay, and I'm happy, what we might do is put a link in as well into this WIIFM, just so that everybody does have a link to exactly what a school-based apprentice is paid while they're working at your salon. And so if they were coming to your salon 1 day a week, and they were there for 8 hours, you basically pay them for 10 hours, let's say. And if they were working any other days, which is certainly an option, many salons might want to get in their school-based apprentice on a Saturday, that's also paid, but obviously with the Saturday penalties in place as well. But I mean, I think it's a really wonderful concept. It is encouraging so many young people to come into the industry. It allows them to also try before they buy. And it means that by the time they finish school, because my understanding is the year 11 and year 12 school-based apprentice goes towards their high school certificate.
It does, yes. It counts as one of their subjects.
Yeah, so they're very motivated to make sure that they stay on and that works. And then at the end of that, you can actually employ them as a second year apprentice. And
well, Sandy, it's actually when they sign the contract, they're not just signing on for the school-based apprenticeship component, they're actually agreeing to the full apprenticeship. But with the school-based apprenticeship, it's 2 years part-time to start off with, which covers first year, and then it naturally flows on for the rest of it. So the training contract end date will represent that part-time school-based component.
Okay. All right. Well, that was really informative. And, I guess I encourage any salon in Australia to take on a school-based apprentice, because I think that investing in a young person who will ultimately be part of your business's future, hopefully, is a really, really wonderful thing for our industry, and we certainly need it for our future of the industry, and but also to invest in your own business. With my own salon, the majority of my senior stylists were all my apprentices, and over the years we've had school-based apprentices, and they've done really, really well as well. So, but anyway, thank you, Suzanne, and thank you, Fiona, for coming on and just giving that information on SBATs. I know you all call them SBATs because you love acronyms, but the school-based apprentices, I think, is a really great opportunity for any salon to get in one of those. So I guess what would be the advice we would give? Should they contact their local school? Should they contact training services to see if there's any SBATs out there? What would be the best way to actually source a school-based apprentice at the moment?
So how we're working, Fiona and I are actually working with a educational pathways program at the moment, where we're working closely with schools. But the easiest way, if it's not one of the schools that we're working with, that we can support you to find a student that's interested, would be to go through one of our SBAT offices that are located throughout the state. And again, we can give you a list of those contacts through the department's website. Alternatively, there's an expression of interest form that an employer can fill out as well, and that will be automatically directed to your local SBAT officer in our state.
Okay, brilliant. All right, well, thank you, ladies. Thank you for all the information.
Thank you, Sandy.
Really appreciate it. And I know there's always been so many questions about, how does this work? And you've answered all of them. So thank you for your time.
More than happy to do so. Thank you, everyone, for their support.